we're moving along. So we're building on the foundation, and this is what we're going to continue to do. We're getting all of the essential information across to you about Marketing Cloud, just so we can get a solid foundation on the platform, and then each class builds on top of the previous one. So yesterday we just covered navigating the account, just giving you a general overview. I went into some sections just to do more than just sharing an overview. But today we're going to talk about the account setup, and we'll talk about everything listed here. So sender profiles, delivery profiles, send classifications, the account settings, users, security, all that good stuff. And keep in mind, the slides are being made available to you. So I'm not going to be, the purpose of our time together is not for me to read the slides to you. It's more to take you into the Marketing Cloud account, share with you how stuff works, give you tangible examples. The slides are just going to serve as a guideline for me to make sure I'm covering all of the essential content that you need to know. All right. So I'm not going to be reading off the slides to you. It's not the best use of your time. I'll do my best to make sure you get all the fundamental information you need as we go through this course. So the account setup, we started a bit on it yesterday, but most of the account setup is available in this section. So once you log into Marketing Cloud and you have the equivalent of an administrator profile, like one has in the CRM, there's the administrator in Marketing Cloud too. If you have that profile assigned to you, you'll be able to see the setup section. All right. So when we click on setup underneath your profile name, it brings you to this section. And this section of the setup allows you to configure the settings for all of Marketing Cloud, not just for one communication channel. This is where all of the settings exist. All right. Yesterday, I showed you a bit of the settings for Email Studio. That was more of a legacy view, but everything can be configured or updated here. All right. So we're going to go top to bottom. In every Marketing Cloud account you log into, you usually have this setup homepage that gives you a summary of the main business unit. So the parent business unit. In this account, the parent business unit is Manifest and Company, and every other business unit is a child business unit. So on the homepage, it shows you a quick summary of activities in the main business unit. So as you see here, there are 63 journeys, this many automations, this many data extensions. You get the gist. And on the right-hand side, it gives you this guided process to complete your setup. That you can just disregard that. And then there's all these other things, the setup assistant. You can just, for now, given that this is a partner demo account, you can ignore some of these. But if you're on the client side, so if the company you work for has Marketing Cloud and it's a new account, this setup assistant and this guided steps you'll find useful because it can help you through the setup process. And if you're on the consultant side, this is also useful to you. So regardless of what side of the bench you're on, the setup assistant section is useful. But for now, you could just disregard it. You could come back and take a look at it once you guys are given access to this account. And then you'll recall I mentioned yesterday, this setup section comprises a large percentage of the content in the setup section comprises a large percentage of what you see in the Marketing Cloud Administrator exam questions. So if I emphasize anything today, it's because that component will be on the exam. So let's talk about users and roles. So just like you have in the CRM, you have different profiles, and people can be assigned a specific profile based on their function within an organization. So if someone needs access to certain level of access, you give them a specific profile. So same thing here. But here it's not called profiles, it's called roles. So someone can be assigned any of these. So all of these, except this one, are standard roles that exist inside of Marketing Cloud. All right. The last one that's not checked, that's a custom role that we created. And that's the role that each of you will be assigned once you're given access to this account. Okay. So just like in the CRM, you can have standard roles and you can have custom roles. Same thing here. But when someone has a combination of the following roles, the administrator and the Marketing Cloud Administrator, this gives them the highest level of access inside of Marketing Cloud. All right. The combination of these two roles that are checked off at the moment gives you the highest level of access inside of Marketing Cloud. So I point this out for two reasons. Number one, it's going to be on the exam, the Marketing Cloud Administrator exam. The question might not be as straightforward as that, but this is what they're looking for in the answer, the combination of these two roles. That's the first reason I point out. The second reason I point it out is, regardless of if you're on the consulting side, you're helping clients implement Marketing Cloud, or if you're on the client side, say your company has Marketing Cloud, you should be wary of who you give this level of access to. You don't want to hand over too much power to everybody or just anybody. So if you give people this combination of roles, they can delete, they can undo, they can break things, and that can be problematic. So you want to be very minimalistic when it comes to assigning the combination of these two roles. Okay. But that being said, you should give it to, in general, just like in the CRM, most organizations have a dedicated administrator who's managing all of this sort of requirements. Large organizations typically also have an administrator or a team of administrators who manage their Marketing Cloud users, roles, and requests and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so these are the different roles that exist. Most of them are custom. Most of them are standard. This one is custom. So you can create more custom roles inside of Marketing Cloud as needed. So that's what roles are. And then users, as the name implies, these are people who you give access to Marketing Cloud. So if you were going to, let's say, for example, we were going to create a user record for Robert. This is where we'll do it. We'll put his name, we'll put his email address, we'll put a temporary password, we'll save it, and then we'll assign roles to Robert's profile. So let's say, for example, let's find mine. Let's find my profile just to demonstrate this to you. There you go. So here's my profile or my user. If I click on my user, you see here the 2 roles that are assigned to me. These are the highest level access. So if I wanted to, let's say the administrator at Blackforce wanted to limit my level of access, they can simply come and change the roles that I'm assigned and save it, and it'll reflect in what I'm able to do or what I'm unable to do. Okay, so let's quickly touch on one more thing here in the roles section. So I've mentioned the highest level of access is the combination of these 2 roles, while the lowest level of access that you can assign to someone is the Marketing Cloud viewer role. All right. If you give someone this role, they're able to log into Marketing Cloud, but all they can do is view stuff. They can't create, they can't edit, they can't delete. All they can do is just knock around in the account and view stuff, and that's it. It's a very limited role. All right. So I bring that up because on the exam for the Marketing Cloud Administrator, you're going to see a question such as, this person has XYZ role assigned to them, and they're unable to do these 2 or 3 things. Or you know what, let's rephrase the question. You'll see a question in the exam that might say something like this. This user has the administrator and the Marketing Cloud Administrator and the Marketing Cloud viewer role, but they're unable to do XYZ. They're unable to create emails, or they're unable to delete a data extension, even though they have seemingly the highest level of access. Why are they unable to do it? The answer to that question is they have the highest level of access combined with the lowest level of access. So until this Marketing Cloud viewer role is taken off that person's user record, they'll continue to be limited. All right. So whenever you see anybody or any user that has a combination of any of these roles along with the Marketing Cloud viewer role, they're going to be severely limited, because I think the concept is also the same in the CRM. People or roles or profiles are based on the concept of list privilege. So whatever role you're assigned, you'll only be able to function up to the privileges available in that role. Right. Just thought I should point that out. So that covers roles and users inside of Marketing Cloud. So another quick thing on users, you're able to get a quick view of when last they logged in, if they've enabled MFA, all that good stuff. If you or your organization uses single sign-on and you've enabled it for them, you'll see that here. And you can have as many users as you want. You just have to purchase the licenses from Salesforce. So there's no limit on that. It's just a matter of cost. Okay, let's see. Is the admin role strictly Marketing Cloud or the CRM admin? UD, your question is not clear. If it's not too much trouble, please come off mute and rephrase your question. Yes.
So I'm just wondering, so when you have a Marketing Cloud, I assume you already have a CRM. Is it the same admin that is the admin here, or
no? Okay. No, and that assumption is wrong. When you have Marketing Cloud, you cannot assume someone already has the CRM. Marketing Cloud as a platform can be used as a standalone platform. Not every company purchases both products. All right, so let me just emphasize this. Marketing Cloud, this platform, there are dozens of companies out there that use Salesforce Marketing Cloud and do not have the Salesforce CRM. They might have another kind of CRM. It could be the Microsoft Dynamics CRM. All right, so let's just get that straight. Marketing Cloud is a standalone product, but it can be integrated with any CRM, not just the Salesforce one. So I think that should answer your question. But in a case where a company has Marketing Cloud and they also have the CRM and both systems are integrated, because you have the admin profile in the CRM, it has nothing to do with your level of access in Marketing Cloud. All right? They're separate, but once we integrate them, there might be some connection there. When we get to the class where we go through the integration process of connecting Marketing Cloud to the CRM, I'll share more about levels of access and such. All right?
Quick one. Can you hear me, Abby?
Yes, I can hear you.
If you don't mind, can you just pause the recording to pick up this?
Do you still see my screen? Do you still see my screen?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
All right. Let's go back to the questions. So, UD, hopefully you're clear on the relationship between Marketing Cloud and the CRM and Marketing Cloud as a standalone platform and the roles within Marketing Cloud. So moving on. Yeah, no problem. Nathaniel's question, are the roles in Marketing Cloud functioning the way profiles do in CRM, or are there profiles in Marketing Cloud? Yeah, they function the same way. There are no profiles in Marketing Cloud. They're just roles, all right? And each role comes with, so let's go into one of these roles, just so you see how it works. So you see, this is the administrator role, and for each application inside the platform, think of these as permission sets, all right? You can do this or you can't do that. You can do this and you can't do that. Those can be checked off as allow or deny under each of these applications in the platform, all right? So each role, just to use CRM speak, since you guys are familiar with that platform, each role is like a collection of permission sets. So when you assign a role to someone, you give them a certain level of access to do stuff or to not be able to do stuff. All right. So when you combine this and this, you're giving this to someone, you're giving them the highest level of access. But when you combine these two and then you add this, you're limiting them to the highest function in this one, and this only allows you to view stuff. You can't edit, you can't do anything. All right. So one more thing, as I mentioned, all of these except this one, all of these are standard roles inside of Marketing Cloud. You can create custom roles. The last one at the bottom was a custom role that we created. We selected what permissions or what access is available here, and that's what you're going to be assigned once a user record is created for you in this account. All right, so that covers roles and users. Let's make sure there's nothing missing on our slides that we haven't talked about. Okay, business units. So yesterday we talked about the concept of business units, but let's get a bit more specific. And the slides help in this situation. So a business unit is essentially, think of it as an account. And you can have, so you have your parent account, but you can have child accounts under the parent, okay? Marketing Cloud is typically used by large enterprises. It's also being used by small and medium organizations, but it's best suited to large enterprises. So if we go with a different example today, let's say Nestle or Cadbury or Walmart, these large organizations that have operations in multiple countries across the world. So there's Nestle in the UK. Let's say, I'm not sure where their headquarters is, but let's say Nestle is based out of the UK, right? That's where the parent company sits. There's going to be, and they have Marketing Cloud. So there'll be a Nestle Marketing Cloud account. That'll be the parent, just like we have Manifest. Yes. And then Nestle in Canada will have a business unit. That will be a child business unit. Nestle in the US will have a business unit. Nestle in Germany will have a business unit. And in each of these business units, the employees in those countries, the marketing teams for Canada, for the US, for Germany, they'll have access to these business units. They'll have all their own data. They'll have all their own emails. They'll have all their own journeys inside those business units. And they'll be doing all of their own activities inside their own business units, all right? But of course, as we saw yesterday, if you need to share assets across business units, you can do that. So if Nestle in Canada needs to share an email with their colleagues, Nestle in the US, they can just share that email and the guys in the US will have access to it. Same thing, they can share with their colleagues in other countries. So that's how business units work. And another reason why business units are important is because it's for legal reasons, so regulatory reasons. For example, if we come back home, say we use one of the banks here in Canada, RBC. RBC operates in Canada, they operate in the US, and I think they've got some small operations in the Caribbean also. But each of these RBC groups, so RBC in Canada, RBC in the US, they're all individual standalone organizations. They're registered as standalone organizations, but they all operate under the RBC umbrella. And RBC in Canada, the parent, has to follow Canadian regulations, while RBC in the US has to follow US regulations. And those regulations typically require that their data is not shared or is not located in another country. There's all this regulatory stuff. That's why business units allow you to meet those kind of regulatory requirements where you can have your data in one business unit and there's no issue with being offside when it comes to regulatory requirements. So that's how business units work. And you can have multiple business units in a marketing cloud account. It's not free. There's a cost associated with it. And a company's Salesforce account executive is best positioned to tell them what the cost is if they need an additional business unit. All right. So I use these examples just to help you guys crystallize it and see the importance and the purpose that business units serve. Right. So this is more information about business units. So essentially, this slide just summarizes everything I just said. It allows you to have your discrete user sets, your segmented data, your subscribers, your languages, everything, all in your own business unit. So guys in Germany, they can have a business unit. All the stuff in there is in German. It doesn't affect the US one. It doesn't affect the Canadian one. It doesn't affect the parent business unit. But they can share data as needed by using the shared folder, either for any kind of content, for data, for emails, for whatever it is, right? So this just gives you additional context or examples on how business units can function. All right. So on the left here, here's an example of a corporation that operates in North America, in Europe, in Asia, and Latin America. And this could be their marketing cloud account setup. So they have all these business units. For example, under the North America business unit, they've got a child business unit for the US, a child business unit for Canada, and one for Mexico. All right. So none of this idea of hierarchies and structures, none of this is new to you guys. You all work in all sorts of organizations, and they're all broken down into divisions or groups or regional offices. That's the same thing being replicated, or that can be replicated with business units. All right. So let's see. Do you use the Marketing Cloud to document product owners barely for a new product? So, Femi, please come off mute and ask your question.
Okay. What I was trying to find out is if the Marketing Cloud, I'm trying to process the whole stuff in my head, and I know it's about most of it is about emails that you told us, SMS in bulk, advertising and stuff like that. But I just want to find out if you use it to do like a BRD, BRD documents for a new product. Yeah, I know product owners are most